It's a Monday, round 5 is done and we are here to talk about it. Hello everyone, I'm Matt Thompson in for Luke Darcy. He's off crook apparently, so Damien Barrett, you're stuck with me. How's things?
G'day mate, I'm not sure about Darcy's ability to fight through a bit of pain this weekend. He's given in, like the Hawks in the last quarter yesterday.
What about the Hawks? They were the premiership favourites. Did we overrate them, do you reckon?
No, I don't think we overrated them. I think they just loomed as the natural favourite when we went into the season. Doubt still about Geelong going into the year given the retirement of some key players. But I still think 2 and 3, I reckon they're going to win 6 of the next 7. They could win all 7. They could turn or go to the round 12 point of the season at 9-3. I wouldn't be writing them off just yet.
Let's take a look at this. Now, the Hawks' performances, in particular in last quarters, have been a major concern, as we can see, against the Cats in that round 2 loss. They lost the last quarter by 20 points. In round 4, it was a 10-point difference in the last term and 30 points then against Sydney on the weekend just gone.
Well, that most recent example there, the one on the weekend just gone, that was the really bad result out of what we've seen there. Those teams, they're not the easiest teams, and that's what Alistair Clarkson was talking about yesterday when it was put to him by a member of the media down there in Launceston, just how hard their draw has been. We'll just take a listen to it now, and then we'll have a talk about it after that.
It's a tough question. I mean, the one thing that we do compromise in our game is the integrity of the competition, and that's because we compromise our draw. It is the one thing that we should make sure that is the thing but it is what it is. You know, you can't do anything about it. So we deal with what we have to deal with.
Alistair Clarkson there talking after the game. Now, the question was clearly put to him, so there's no dramas with how it was raised, but I think it would have been wiser for him to not be buying into this tough schedule issue. I mean, Collingwood's had a very tough draw as well. Melbourne's had a really tough draw as well. You don't hear Nathan Buckley talking about it at this stage. I just think it's a little bit diversionary. We saw last week when they lost to West Coast that it was a head-high tackles after the game that Alistair Clarkson was talking about. Again, all he was doing was answering a question, but I just think, and he's a smart man, he knows how to play the media, I just think he would have been better placed and positioned to not even give that answer that you gave, because it just, to me, it makes it look as though there is an excuse being made.
He's got it out there, though, doesn't he? Because he was asked the question.
No doubt.
And we want coaches to answer the question.
We do, but I just think injuries, scheduling and umpires, I reckon they're the no-go zones for coaches who've been around long enough, and he's now been around long enough to know that they're the issues that other clubs look at coaches who raise those issues in the media, and I reckon they look at them a bit differently.
We love it, though. Keep answering the questions. Keep answering.
No doubt.
Be honest.
Hey, their record in Tassie, I think perception-wise, it's as though it's a good one, but let's just take a look at this.
It's a bit of a myth, isn't it?
This here, since 2004, they've won 64% of matches. No real drama there. In fact, it's a good strike rate. But break it down. Bottom 8 teams, they score at 92%, and when they come up against top 8 teams, only 40%. Does it totally blow out that perception that we've all got that Launceston is a real hard ground for opposition teams to get to?
I think those statistics show that it's not an automatic tip. If you're filling out the tips on the weekend and you're saying Hawthorn's playing in Tassie, it's not an automatic that they're definitely going to win down there. I think that's evidence of that, isn't it?
Hey, Cyril Rioli's one of several Hawks who's just really struggling to put together a complete game. He nearly got them over the line last week against West Coast with a good performance in the last quarter. But again, real cameo sort of stuff from Cyril Rioli only this year. It's not the sort of footy that he wants to play, and he's been on record on the AFL website very recently saying he wants to put together a full game. He's not doing it.
He's been very honest about that, Cyril, though. I think we've been perhaps a little bit, our expectations over the journey with Cyril, because we've seen so many fantastic things from him over time, our expectations have perhaps just been a little bit too high. Maybe we do need to give the bloke a little bit more slack.
I don't know. Third quarter yesterday, had a good lead going into it, only got the 1 disposal, only the 5 disposals after half time. I mean, 10 disposals in the first half when they were going really well, 5 thereafter. He certainly needs to do more. And it's not just people in footy talking about this, it's his own coach, Alistair Clarkson. And
I guess, though, as you mentioned, though, Cyril has been on the record himself knowing that he has to get better. So at least he has been honest about it.
True. Now, let's not take anything away, though, from the team that stitched them up yesterday, the Swans. Sort of struggled a little bit early, but just were sensational in the second half. Unbeaten, we thought they might have snuck into top 4 contention. I think we've now got to actually realise this team is a realistic premiership hope.
One thing about the Sydney Swans, they do go under the radar. don't they? In Sydney, they don't get the major media attention that they get often here, that teams in Melbourne get. I mean, in Melbourne, you're constantly in the spotlight. You've got reporters clamouring for stories. I know today, for example, outside a couple of football clubs, there's TV cameras hanging around because they're interested in getting grabs and all that sort of thing. You just don't see that in Sydney, whether they're performing well or performing badly. It's just not the same kind of hype.
It's a luxury they've got.
Yeah.
But what they've done, though, under John Longmire is get themselves into a position in a year that is shaping up as a year that may not be the one we thought going into it. We thought there were 5 big clubs. I reckon you obviously throw the Swans into that mix now, and I reckon they're well and truly entrenched as we speak in a realistic chance of finishing very, very high up on the ladder.
All right, let's move on and talk a little bit about tagging. It was put on the agenda on Friday night by none other than Gary Ablett. Let's have a look at some of the examples of this battle between Crowley and Judd, among others. Gary Ablett has certainly put this out on the agenda to his 48,000 Twitter followers.
He does. But one thing he is, Matt, he's very media savvy. So he knew what he was doing before he did it. I mean, he's got very, very adept at dealing with Twitter, and he uses it very well. He's an avid US sports follower, and I raise that because that's what people in the US do when they play sport at the highest level. They tweet similarly to what he did about Ryan Crowley. Now, just for those who haven't caught up with it, he was watching the game on TV and said that Ryan Crowley was a joke, that he should have gone the ball. Now, they've got a history. We just saw some vision there, and here's some other vision from the weekend of Mackenzie on Goddard, who did a real good job on him. Just on the Ablett tweet, though, Matt, I mean, Marcus Ashcroft, the football operations manager of the Suns, has come out and said that there's nothing personal in what Gary Ablett said, and he meant no disrespect. It was personal, and there was disrespect, and I've got no drum with it being disrespectful or personal because Gary Ablett knew what he was doing. I reckon it's good. I think as an industry, a football industry, I reckon we need to harden up. I reckon the clubs that counsel players, and Guy McKenna said he spoke to Ablett about this as well, I just think move on, get on with it. It's not going to change one thing next week when Ablett's playing footy, if he gets back from the knee injury and plays on Crowley. He's prepared for it. I think everyone else at his club should be prepared for it too. If he's prepared to put his name on the line as he did, good on him, and I actually hope there's more of it.
I agree with you, but I can perhaps see why Guy McKenna was a little bit antsy about it, because that's the way coaches are. They are perhaps a little bit precious from time to time with issues like this. I like the hashtag though, give Judd a free kick. I reckon with that just could start trending worldwide.
Well, someone who did get a free kick for a couple of incidents involving the weekend's game, Joel Selwood of Geelong. We'll have a look at the last quarter incident here. He's hit Andrew Rains. Andrew Rains has responded. Now, we'll just watch it again from another angle. Selwood taps Rains. Rains hits him back. And we'll just watch it one more time. Just watch how hard Selwood's head hits the ground after Rains does retaliate here. The connection comes now. He's hurt there and he goes down and the head does hit the ground very hard. Doctors don't like us using the word concussion because they think it can be dazed and not concussed. But there were 2 incidents involving Selwood and Rains on that game where, at the very least, Joel Selwood yet again finished the game of football where he was dazed at least twice and, in some people's definitions, concussed.
Are these silly incidents from players like this? Do they need to actually be a little bit smarter and not get themselves caught into this situation where all of a sudden they're under this intense scrutiny from the match review panel?
Oh, they are, but I mean, it's frustration.
It's going to always happen, isn't it?
Good on Andrew Rains for reinventing himself as a tagger. Selwood's copped it all his life. I mean, he obviously gets them back, but he's in trouble, obviously, and deserves to be.
All right, that's going to be something that the match review panel will be looking at. Also, players...
Now, just on that, you'll look at the verdict with Mark Fraser, head of the match review panel.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be keen to hear from Mark Fraser.
New show for AFL website?
New show coming up on AFL.com.au apparently.
Look forward to it.
So keep an eye on that. But it's not about me, it's definitely about Mark Fraser, just to be clear on that. All right, let's turn our attention to another hot topic for the match review panel, and that's players sliding into contests. After the drama that we saw at the Tribunal last week with Lindsay Thomas, we've seen some more examples on the weekend just gone throughout the matches of players still sliding in towards the ball. Damo, it doesn't seem like players are changing their habits.
It doesn't, but I think you can't change your habits. I mean, the AFL's been very, I reckon, confusing in how it's wanted this to play out. Its own DVD at the